in Mombasa. Time now is 8 minutes past 11 this day, the 2nd of September 2025. My name is Kwanya Jiju.
Yes, and of course, this is Hilda Chepto. You can call me Chep, and it's Sporty FMKE on all social media platforms. Pale kwa link kwa bio on our social media platforms. You'll see a link there. Click that link and listen to us from wherever you are.
Wenzetu wa Tanzania wanasemaje? Bio.
Wanasema bio.
Now we want to talk about esports.
Yes.
And we have a guest who understands everything esports, Chep.
Yes, of course. With us here today we have Mr. Ronny Lusigi, who is the president of the Esports Kenya Federation. And I think just before we start our conversation, I can just give a background of the numbers.
Yes.
The numbers that are in esports.
Yes.
Esports is a multi-billion-dollar industry with a global market. Is projected to, in 2024, it's projected to reach around 7.46 billion USD by 2030. Look at those numbers. And I think it's somewhere where we can now start our conversation is Mr. Ronny, those numbers, the potential of esports. And I think we'll also look at Kenya, we'll also look at Africa, where we're at the moment. And maybe we'll just start with you. How did you get into esports?
Thank you very much, Hilda and Kwanya, for having me here in Sporty FM.
Yes.
I feel very sporty. being
Karibu sana.
In a purely sports channel.
Yes.
And thank you for recognizing esports as a sport that is worth speaking about, discussing about, and telling people about. So Hilda, basically how I got into esports personally is started playing video games when I was in primary school. I grew up in a place called Kibra, and there's a place there at around Olympic where we had PlayStation 1, and people used to jump in there to play. It was 10 shillings a game, and so we started playing from there.
Yes.
Whenever we didn't have the 10 shillings, what we'd do is we'd wake up early in the morning and help the vendor clean that place.
Yes.
So that she could give us like 3 or 4 games for free. So that's how I started, and of course it developed very quickly in the 2010s when competition started becoming bigger. In Kenya at that time, when I was younger, it was just those competitions in the hood, maybe 6 or 8 of you, or because you play in a certain shop, you can put a tournament in that shop. But by the time I was getting into uni, at around 2014, when I was joining university, I met people in campus who I started realizing there were also bigger tournaments being hosted in malls and other places. And so I was curious, and I attended a couple of them. But at that time, I was not very active as a player. I was much of a casual player. When I was in secondary, primary, I was very competitive. So I decided the best thing is to be an organizer. So together with my friends, we started organizing competitions in campus, in the hood, and taking it step by step. And that's where I found myself as an administrator in esports. But I'm also a huge fan. I watch a lot of esports competitions.
You are the president of Esports Kenya Federation, a federation that many Kenyans might not pengine wajui that it exists.
Yeah.
Why do you think most Kenyans would not know that such a federation of esports exists in Kenya? Like, Kenyans will say, we know athletics, we know Kenya football Kenya Federation. Why not esports?
No, my rural background is in Western Kenya. The Abaluya people. And the older son is always famous than the younger ones. Because if Hilda today is blessed with a son, let us call him Shimonjero. The firstborn Hilda will always be known as Mama Shimonjero. Even if she delivers 11 other children, people will know the firstborn.
The rest are being forgotten.
Athletics Kenya, Football Kenya Federation, those federations started even before Kenya got independence. They are giants, and we appreciate them. So Esports Kenya Federation is basically 3 years old. because it was formed in 2018, but at that time on interim basis. So it's basically 3 years old. So that's why perhaps some Kenyans may not be aware of Esports Kenya. And that's why also I started by saying we appreciate platforms like this that you give us to make people aware that there is a federation called Esports Kenya Federation. But also we live really in the digital space. And I believe also we've been courtesy of not just federation as administrators only, but also our players have made people know this federation, because they've been able to have exploits both locally and internationally, and it has helped us to know this federation. But yes, we are a national sports federation. We are registered under the State Department of Sport, just like other sports federations. And we are members of the Global Esports Federation. And in January this year, we received official recognition by the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, because last year the IOC officially made esports an Olympic sport. So yes, we are trying each and every day to put our best foot forward, driven of course by the community of players and fans who are really playing and watching esports, to make Esports Federation known, but most importantly to make it known that there's a craft like esports. There are also people who are playing video games who don't know this federation, and it's important that they know that there's somewhere that their talent can pay. There's somewhere that they can express themselves, either competitively or if you're like myself, administratively. You can be a photographer. Hilda's attended many of our events. She sees you need photographers, you need people to do the live stream, you need people to do the protocol. There are many roles you can play in this federation. Communication, graphic designer, and many other things. And of course, most of the people we work with are young people.
And to add to that also, just maybe for our audience or people listening to us, just break it down. What exactly is esports?
Yes, esports basically stands for electronic sports. And that involves people competing on video games. So it can be games on your mobile phone, can be games on the consoles, PlayStations, or games on the computer PCs. So when more than one people gather to compete on esports on video games with a set of rules and with a prize to be won, we consider that esports. It's basically same as athletics. Many people wake up to run in the morning. Some of us for appetite, some for fitness. But it becomes athletics when you do it professionally, when you have a set of rules, when you are competing towards a certain prize. So the same happens to video games. It is estimated by Newzoo, which is the leading publication for esports research in the world, that we have 11 million people in Kenya who play video games.
Professional?
Not professionally. Those just play video games. Now from that pool now, you have those who do it competitively. I like using the word competitively. We are a young sport. When you say professionally, it's quite heavy. Because professionally means you have a paycheck. Some of them do, very few. Professionally means you have a solid contract. Professional, the word professional is a heavy word. That I'm very careful to use. Just like the word, because you are a sports channel. Sometimes I'm a football fan and I hear every former Harambee Stars players calling themselves legend. Unajua sisi kama ma legend. But not every former player is a legend.
Absolutely.
So the same way, not every competitive video gamer is a professional. Professional, you must have the infrastructure and the modalities to be termed as a professional player.
So let me ask, I play Eurotrack.
Okay.
Can I call myself a esports person?
How do you play it? Who do you play against? How frequently do you play? How many competitions do you play? That's why I've given the example of running. I run, but am I a marathoner? Am I Kipyegon? Am I Rudisha? Am I Wanyonyi? No. I run, but I cannot call myself a professional runner. So it's the same way you play Euro Truck. It's a nice game, but if you find yourself in places where you play competitions, now you can start calling yourself an esports player. And then competitions also have categories. Perhaps you are playing here in the office. It's a competition, it's esport, but it's a lower tier. There are people who, if you play with, are at a higher level.
Yes.
So it's the same way. You have there's a reason to respect to the marathons we host here. There's a reason Kipchoge does not run at home. It's a marathon, yes, but he's running in the A tier of marathons. He's running in Hamburg, in London, in Berlin, in Tokyo.
Yes.
Yes, we do have our marathons here, but the person in this marathon tomorrow, the person from our local marathons, like let's say Nairobi marathon, in 2 years' time may be running in Valencia,
Chicago or something.
Yeah,
in Chicago.
yes.
So it's the same way with video games.
All right. Chep.
Yes, and of course, Ronny, you mentioned you are the president of the federation. How is your federation structured?
Okay.
Yes.
We have as a national executive committee, which is the apex of the federation. Then we do have within that secretariat that assists us in operations. Then we have county esports associations. Those are the ones who assist us. At the moment, we have got 29 county esports chapters, and we are working to increase them. And for those that we have right now, we are also working to strengthen them, because again, at the county level, there is a lot of need for them to work in tandem with their regional governments. So, for example, we have a lot of support from Nakuru County. Nairobi County does amazing work for esports, and Mombasa County. At least those are county governments that have started taking note, and they are working in tandem with our county esports chapters. So we have 29 county esports chapters. We also have a couple of esports teams, which the process that we are in now is formalizing them. As you said, esports is a young sport, so you find many teams is just a gathering of friends. So what we are trying to do right now is to offer them the support to take them through the journey of registering formally as a team, showing them you need to have this constitution, the strategic plan, your officials need to have Chapter 6 documents, and then you need to go to the sports registrar to have your team registered so that it can be a formal team. Even speaking to some of them to combine their teams so that instead of being very stretched in terms of resources, why don't you come together, for example, and have a Nakuru esports team? So far, we have a couple of strong esports teams in the country. Teams like Horizon Esports that plays EAFC. Teams like eHub Gamers based in Thika. We have teams like Rangers Gaming based in Naivasha. We have Plug and Play based in Bomet. And teams are coming up. As I've said, what we are encouraging the teams right now is to formalize themselves, because so far they are informal. We have to be honest, they're informal, but though they form part of our membership, there are people we are also supporting towards this. So that is how the structure does look like. And as I mentioned, we internationally we are members of the Global Esports Federation, members of the African Esports Development Federation, and also now on our way to being members of the National Olympic Committee.
Now, someone listening to us might say that this is a sport that will only attract players within the urban center. Is it true? And if it is true, what are you guys doing as a federation to make sure that imefika mashinani, from where you come from, Western, from where I come from in Homa Bay? How then the players from the young people from my village access, or what do they need to be players in the esports?
Esports is wide. It has its own disciplines, and the disciplines will also have a big influence in terms of the equipment you are using on who can access it. For example, as a national federation, I'll tell you honestly, when it comes to PC, computer, disciplines that require you to use computer, we currently as a country are not yet there, because one properly assembled esports PC is close to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. and one team in a PC game needs to have 5 players. So that means one team with 5 PCs is 1.5 million.
1.5 million. Yes.
And you need to run a competition. So at least you need 10 computers if these teams will rotate using the same equipment. The same applies now locally. There are places people can access PlayStation. That's very widespread in the country. And there are places now with the smartphone, people can access the smartphone. And that's why I was going to say there are many ways you can enter this. Right now we're in discussions with some people in Kakuma who reached out to us on LinkedIn. And they have an active community who are playing a mobile game called eFootball Mobile, which is the game actually that FIFA are using for their FIFA Esports World Cup, for example. So it's about looking at where you come from, looking at the resources available, and tapping into it. For example, not Omanyala didn't start as a sprinter. He started as a rugby player, but he looked at the opportunities and the resources around him and pivoted into sprinting. I've heard Colin Sinjera say he joined Vihiga Boys Form 1 as a footballer. He looked at the surrounding and said, it's better for me to become a rugby player in my current environment. The same way, I've told you honestly, we look at PC games and we say, for now, let us first push PlayStation and mobile games. So wherever you are, whether you're in Shamahoho, Lodwa, Kasipul, Mvita, you can take part in esports. You just need to contextualize the situation you are in and start into getting into competitions, which we do both online and in person.
Okay.
Yes, and to add to what he said, Kwanya said, which is the most popular one? Mobile gaming is I think mobile gaming is the easier or the most accessible compared to the rest. Yes. Mobile
gaming is most affordable, most accessible, also most popular because now many people have smartphones. Handsets, and the publishers of these games are also realizing the potential in Africa, and credit to them. Over the last 2 years, they've made their games very light in terms of when you download it on Play Store. They've worked on the graphics so that it's not very heavy on your phone, that if you download it, you can't have even social media apps or you can't have enough pictures. So mobile games are doing well, especially in Kenya. That is your eFootball Mobile. That's over 250,000 players play it in Kenya, including those I've told you in Kakuma. There is games like PUBG Mobile. Again, over 300,000 people play it. There's games like FC Mobile. It's a football game. There is Call of Duty Mobile. Shout out to Delta Esports. They were in Lagos. I know they arrived this morning. They were in Lagos this weekend for an African championship in that game called Call of Duty Mobile. I believe they finished in the top 6 thereabout. And last year they were runners-up. So Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG Mobile, eFootball Mobile, FC Mobile are strong games. And mobile Free Fire is there. Then you come to the PlayStation where you have football games like EAFC, a strong game. We have fighting games like Tekken. That's a strong game. We have emerging games like NBA 2K, popular but still emerging. Not that many people. You have racing games that simulate Formula 1 or WRC. Also for mobile, we have Mobile Legends. It's also an upcoming game that is there. So also, just the same way, I think if you listen to the National Olympic Committee of Kenya today, if they are planning for LA 2028, they'll tell you there are places we believe we have a higher chance. How do we allocate time and resources to that? There are places we believe we have potential, and there are places we believe let us maybe focus on 2032 to get that sport to the Olympics. You see? So it's the same way for us. There are games we look at, we say, we have international competitions. This is how the calendar looks like. Locally, this game is strong. How do we put more emphasis to push those players to the international circuit? Some games, you look at it, locally, this game has potential. How do we put in more resources and energy to that to bring it to where it should be? And then you can look and say, futuristically, this is a game we can look into. So it's about also carefully, with the advice of experts, the players, their coaches, to look at, and also records don't lie. Because we send people to international competitions, you can be able to see where you are strong and where more work needs to be done.
And Ronny, just before we go for a break, you've mentioned different games, and you've mentioned we had a team that was in Lagos. How then do you think Kenya compares to the rest of other nations that participate in esports, countries like South Africa, Korea, the US? How do we compare with them? And what can we borrow from them if they're doing better than us?
Okay, I'll start in the African context. When you come to sub-Saharan Africa, I'd say alongside South Africa and Nigeria, we are there in the top 3. Anywhere you want to, it's a fluctuating top 3. Nobody will claim they are the number 1. Where South Africa and Nigeria have, especially South Africa, have more advantages, the digital infrastructure. Most of these games use servers. So South Africa, most of the servers in Africa are based in South Africa. But those can't serve me well, because if I'm playing with somebody in South Africa and I'm in Nairobi, he has an advantage. Nigeria, because of their population, people have been looking at, they put a server there. So that's where they currently have an edge of us. But when it comes to competitions, it's always fluctuating. We are always beating each other. Of course, North Africa have the advantage. People in Morocco use the Spain server. Because Morocco and Spain is like Chavakali and Kisumu. Or Chavakali and Kapsabet. It's very close. Then people in Egypt use the Dubai server. So North Africa, they have an advantage of location. They are able to use those servers, and you'll even notice in circuits, international circuits, they are counted as Middle East and North Africa, MENA region, where we are captured as Sub-Saharan Africa because of that. But internationally now, I'd say we have quite a lot of work to do, because these regions started way before us. You've mentioned South Korea. That is the mecca of esports. These people in the year 2002, they already had TV channels showing esports live, national TV channels. You have your USA, who have the benefit of most video games being made in USA. Again, esports basically started also mainly to be pushed as a mainstream by the publishers of the video games, because it's a marketing tool for them. When they're able to use their game for competitions, they come up with heroes and they make their games aspirational. So I continue playing a game because I want to be like maybe Queen Arrow of Kenya, or I want to be like Faker of Korea, or I want to be like Anders of Norway. So they use this game to have heroes who you want to look up to. So the advantage again that the first world has is the games are made there. So when the marketing officer is looking at their marketing activities over here, they have an event in London as part of it. They have an event in Dubai. They have an event in New York. But most of them don't consider Africa as a market, because maybe the average revenue per user of a Kenyan gamer is between $50 to $20. And you'd find maybe the average revenue per user of a gamer in Dubai is almost 10 times that.
Much higher. So
for them, esports actually has saved us a bit, because right now with things like Olympic esports games, they are starting to globalize their competitions. Like we may mention this after the break. We have a competition here that is coming for the first time in Africa called PUBG Mobile African Championship, because of course now they are vying to become among the games that will be selected in the Olympic esports games. But before that, all the investment now, they do it in regions that they consider markets. That is where they put up servers. That is where they do tournaments, and that is why China, Korea, and then also when you have the government push like in Saudi Arabia, where through the PIF they're investing crazy, not only on esports but on many other sports. But also South America is strong also. Brazil, Argentina, but even then most of the players are relocating to Europe because locally there's not enough investment. So I'd say the reason we are a bit far behind the first world is because the games are made there. That is their main market, and there's more investment in those markets.
All right, thank you so much. This is Sport FM. We are speaking to Ronny Lusigi, the president of Esports Kenya Federation. We are talking about esports matters in Kenya. When we come back, this conversation will continue as we go deeper and deeper into more regarding to esports. This is Sport FM. beyond sport.
Breakpoint on Sporty FM. Beyond sport.
On our social media. Yes.
Yes.
Click that link. Listen to us from wherever you are.
Yes.
Yes.
Like Lusigi's people in the village would be asking, why are we not listening to our boy?
Shamaho.
Shamahoho. Yeah, na harikapa pia uko thika.
Yes.
Uko shago.
And we are joined by Ari Kappa. As he settles in, we'll come back to him now. Ari, Ronny, what are the biggest challenges then that you guys as a federation you see when it comes to esports?
Locally, the biggest challenge, first of all, is a challenge of resources. You need a lot of resources to run a national federation, and because esports is young, we are not yet blessed at the international level to be receiving annual grants like people in soccer, rugby, athletics, knock. So that's a big challenge. That means but we've taken it as an opportunity. We need to be creative in terms of resources how we find our resources, because also the Ministry of Sports, they have over 100 federations to take care of, and that place is also an animal farm. Some animals all animals are equal, others are more equal than others.
Yes.
And you can't blame them. The second one is digital infrastructure. As I mentioned, we have something called servers, and most of these competitions, as Kappa will mention when he speaks, when you're competing online, or for you to reach the threshold of being called to now an in-person international competition, there are stages that you have to compete online.
Yes.
So when you don't have the servers locally, you are disadvantaged when it comes to competing online, because the initial stages require you to start online. Then you get to a certain level, now they can start paying your flights for you to go to international competitions. The third one, of course, is an issue of awareness. That's a challenge. Some people confuse video gaming with gaming in the gambling sense. They ask you if this is gambling. So that's why we take opportunities like this seriously and with a lot of gratitude, that we find a platform to give people that to demystify that, and that this is not gaming of the gambling sense. Then we also have the issue, of course, of video game addiction that we always face, and we also like to remind people that people are addicted to many things. We are not justifying, we are not saying two wrongs make a right, but it's a question you receive a lot, and yes, it's a challenge, and that's why we are here as a federation, because when you speak now to people like Kappa, players like Beast, Quinaro, Demon, they'll tell you that it's not about how long you play, it's about how well you play when you're playing. You may train for 10 hours and this boy trains for 2 hours, but if he's doing the right thing, his 2 hours is more qualitative.
It's more quality than quantity.
Yes. So because of esports, now we have people who can come out and tell people the right way to play video games, which to me is really helping to reduce the issues of video game addiction.
Yes.
But awareness, it even affects us in corporates. Sometimes you walk into an office and your presentation turns into a whole classroom where you have to teach people what esports is. You take them through for like 3-4 months, you believe you are closer to the finish line, they change their marketing team. So and then you go back to ground floor. So those are the challenges we face, but in all of them we soldier on.
Yes.
We are young, we are enthusiastic,
and growing.
And we are growing.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good place to put it. And also we've been joined by Harry. Harry Kappa is a competitive gamer. Yes. Harry, how are you? Karibu.
Ako na mshahara.
Ako na mshahara. And I would just love to hear, Harry, how you started, because we met some time back on E-League. I think that was the first time I met you, the E-League tournament in March. And I would just love to know how you started gaming and your journey so far. Tona gani umeparticipate, kumeendaje?
Participate tona karibu zote.
Na kuonanga kila mahali.
Ndio nifike hapo pia nimeanza somewhere. Nimekuwa pale Thika, nikapatana na some few people who helped me. Wakanisaidia nijistabilize pale. Niweze kufocus more on gaming vizuri, because walikuwa wanaona kuna kitu ndani yake naweza grow into it. Na hivyo ndo nilianzanga polepole.
And which nini unacheza
team
which title or which game specifically or
FC25
okay
yeah.
Okay
polepole hivyo tournament after tournament and then God siku give up na naendelea kuwa fruitful yeah na sita give up bado tukiendelea mbele.
Yes, and currently are you in school? You're combining sports with school ama umeamua that is your path and you're just going with that?
Na combine na shule.
Unasoma wapi?
Nasoma now right now nasoma sound engineering because also nakuanga na passion ya music and stuff. Yeah, so ni kubalance tu zote pole.
Okay, kwanya.
Ari. What is it like to compete against international players and any memorable tournament or experience that uko nayo that you unaweza share na sisi ukicompete na those international players?
One thing naweza sema ni they okona a lot of exposure than sisi Kenya mara mingi exposure ndio hatuna, lakini compare niliendanga Saudi 2022 ilikuwa Afro Arab League, hapo ndo getting my first exposure na kuna magame wazuku nje pia sila lazima tujikaze
wanoma
wazee lakini step by step tunapata tu grip pole na naamini pia unaweza kuwa the best.
And how far did you get kwa hiyo tona?
Sikupita sana because it was a football tournament and I specialize on FIFA. Yeah.
Okay. And I think I saw you recently. There's a tournament you won
Betika
the other day.
Yeah.
How was that experience? Because I saw it had the cream of the cream maybe in the country. How was that experience?
Ilikuwa fine cause nasema last year I competed on the same competition na sikuweza kuja number 1, nilikuja number 3. Na nilikuwa nimeshajikaza yangu yote sasa basi naona siku give up, nikaendelea kujituma, nikakam through tena again this year na nikaweza ku clutch. I think I'm proud of myself.
Na vijana rika yako pengine wangetaka kujoin esports, ungewaambia nini? Is it an environment ungetaka mtu akujoin ama ungewaambia nini?
Yeah, of course. When you join kuna a lot of opportunities coming through gaming na kila mtu anaona is a growing industry. Yeah, so wa join like support each other and we grow the community to be even bigger. Yeah.
And currently are you part of unakuanga na team?
Yeah.
How does it work? All players wako na team yao ama kuna wale wenye wako independent? How does it work?
Kuna some players wenye wako signed to a team na kuna wengine wako independent, but kama mimi niko signed to Plug and Play Sports. Yeah, na wanipeleka poa.
Na hiyo team iko na nani? Iko na manager? How many players are there? Iko structured aje?
That's upon the manager. The management could decide how number of players wanataka kwa team. Wana games gani wanataka walikuwa represented and that kind of stuff.
So ni kuna manager.
Yeah,
kuna manager and then now they select the team wherever venye wanataka.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we wait for you to tell us zile tournaments zina come up you'll participate in, let's go back to Ronny. You talked about challenges that you guys face and you mentioned some of them. Now then, what do you do as a federation to attract investment into esports?
Yes, what we try as a federation every day is to offer value. Offer value because most of our partners we are looking at are corporate partners, and we understand them because they need justification, a return on investment when they do sponsorships. So we first of all we measure on partnerships. We do have partnerships with social institutions like schools. Mount Kenya University, for example, is our major partner. Through Mount Kenya University, we were able to run the inaugural Kenya University Esports League, where they provided us with space and sponsorship. Again, at Mount Kenya University, they provided us with space to put up a training center. which now we've been able to move to the next step of getting a monitor partner based in Dubai. They are called AOC Gaming, who provided us with monitors, 40 monitors to place at that training center. And that monitor is also used to support tournaments locally, because organizers normally have the burden of hiring equipment. So as a federation, we are giving them equipment at a subsidized rate. We're also using heavily social media. We ensure that we broadcast our tournaments and also encourage private tournament operators to broadcast their tournaments online. And that helps to demonstrate to partners the power of esports. For example, you'll see the tournament that Kappa here won last month. I was checking yesterday, maybe 13,000 or more people watched it on YouTube. There's another tournament we did in March that they are competing to go to France, and 22,000 people watched it. So we try as much as possible to do that. We also try to support the players in their visibility and their marketing, to provide them with platforms to do video shoots, photo shoots, streaming that helps them to become front and center of this. We also partner with development partners. The French Embassy in Kenya, for example, has been a great partner to esports. Through the French Embassy, over the last 3 years, I know over 15 esports players and administrators, people from the esports industry have gone to international events in France, and it has given them a lot of exposure and experience. I know they've supported tournaments and tournament organizers and entrepreneurs in esports, myself included, with resources to do some activities. And huge thanks to that team in the French Embassy, led by Ambassador Arnaud Souquet. I hope that's how it's pronounced. He also attends our events, which is very, very important. And as I mentioned in the beginning, Nairobi City County, they have an amazing team there in the Department of Digital Economy. Waziri Mike Gumo, Chief Officer Sande Oyolo, they support us a lot, especially with venue and sponsorship for equipment. And Nakuru County also have a lot of discussions now with their city manager and their CEC in charge of sports. So we focus more on social institutions, especially because they can enable you to tackle the initial challenges, space, equipment, which is basically the core of running competitions.
Okay. And also, Ronny, I think last week news broke out that maybe Twitch is moving out of Kenya, meaning we are content creators or gamers who use Twitch won't be able to monetize. And the issue that they raised was probably due to government regulation. I would love to hear your thought on that. And also, Kappa as a gamer, I'll also love to hear your thought on Twitch as well. So Ronny, you can go ahead.
Yes, the issue of Twitch is an unfortunate issue. It's because of this new digital tax that was set. And again, it shows the challenge that we find ourselves in eSport because of its multifaceted nature, that advice of such things come from the ICT ministry, but you see again it affects people in esports. And to me, I'd say, and I said this previously also elsewhere, that the digital economy, its tax system cannot be the same as the traditional economy. First of all, 1 year is a very long time for you to have a policy. In 1 year, many things change in the digital economy. Today, if TikTok, for example, pop up with a new monetization policy, how do we cope with that? You see every day, after 4 or 5 weeks, your phone is always asking you for an update. You are updating your Instagram, you are updating. So these features that are there, especially the monetization features, they're also not cast in stone. So for me, my advice will be to the decision makers, our friends at Times Tower. It's called Times Tower. Our friends at Times Tower, is that let us have more inclusion of actors in this space when you are making these decisions, and let us rethink and remodel how we are taxing the digital economy, because it's a different economy. It's a very fast-paced economy. And right now, what they've done that has led to Twitch going out, imagine we have to wait until June next year for for somebody to come up with another finance bill.
Yeah.
You see, it can't operate that way. So for me, I think tax regulations on digital economy should be flexible, should be short term, and should be sort of live. They should be evolving as the digital platforms evolve. Failure to that will always be playing catch up.
Okay.
And it will only become a barrier to people like Kappa.
Yes, and for you Kappa, hiyo ilikuwa affect aje venye ulisikia Twitch wametoka? You can continue using the platform, unaweza endelea kutumia, but you won't be able to make money from it. Yeah, so you as a gamer, how did it affect you?
Kusema kweli hapo umeturudisha nyuma kama mgema. Cause mimi na believe hiyo site inapea gamers the exposure, ina audience waze kujulikana na wasee na kitu wanafanya, but since wame bring down inaturudisha nyuma, sa it's disappointing. But naweza penda the government, ijue Kenya itafanya, try and think a way out. Wenye gamers wanaweza earn even if it's not Twitch. They come up with an alternative. At least tatusongesha mbele.
Like India is a good example. India had a challenge with a game called PUBG, and they didn't ban the game. What they did, they had a discussion with the creator of that game, which is a Chinese company called Tencent, and they told them, according to our morals and what have you, would like you to restructure this game. So India is the only place in the world that PUBG has another name. It's called BGMI. And then it is structured to the Indian market. And now the publisher won, the government won.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win situation.
Yes.
Now, Ari, take us through the tournaments or competitions that are coming up for you, zile sasa zinakuja, that you're going to participate in the near future.
Kuna moja iko on 7th September, Kigali, Rwanda, Sports Biz Africa Esports.
This weekend?
Yeah, this weekend. Kutakuwa na 8 countries. Kenya will be one of them, na me don't represent.
How prepared are you then?
I'm very prepared for anyone mwenye anakuja.
Akuje vile atakuja.
Akuje venye atakuja. Because na job pia mimi na Kenya naweza fanya, najiamini.
Na ukiona kwa hiyo lineup hiyo, the biggest competitor hapo mwenye unaona kazi hapa itakuwa a bit of a challenge ni nani?
Nimeona watu wako na experience, naweza sema kila gamer amekuja hapa wako na experience. The one from South Africa, Nigeria, all of them, but all in all lazima ni win. Lazima tu nijikaze ni win.
Hata kusema ndo ngapi?
Hata kidogo. Nchi mbele.
Fantastic. They are competing for $5,000.
Yes.
The winner takes $2,500. The runners up take $1,500. The semi-finalists takes $500 each.
We wish all the best, bana. Represent the country and do as proud ukiwa Rwanda. Na ukiwin tafadhali utukumbuke. Now, as we finalize, Ronny, there's this element of, this is computer game, and there's the mental health aspect of it. How do you guys address the mental issues that come with computers and gaming?
Yes, and also maybe after that you can add to that as well. Of course, being IOC recognizing esports as well, how big that is, what it means for, especially for Africa as a continent.
Yes, thank you. As I said, Kwanya, that the issues of mental health, challenges like addiction and what have you, are part of us. In this office, there may be somebody addicted to social media. They come, they're on TikTok, they don't complete their assignments. Somewhere else, there's somebody addicted to gambling. Somewhere else, there's somebody addicted to alcohol. So addiction is a societal problem, and we are not perfect. And that's why I said we are using first of all ambassadors like Harry Kappa to show younger people the responsible ways of playing video games. We are also now initiating discussions also with schools, just to offer teachers maybe questionnaires and resources that make them aware on how they can be able to assist their students to play responsibly, or detect where there are signs of students who are being affected by overplaying video games. Secondly, on your question, Hilda, it's a very big thing for us, for the esports community, that the Olympics finally did adopt esports as a Olympic sport, and furthermore chose to have it as a standalone competition.
Yes.
So now they have winter, summer, Paralympics, youth, and now they've added Olympic esports games. We are looking forward to that. That will be held the inaugural edition in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, 2027.
Yes.
And we are partnering with the Olympic Committee to ensure that we drive this forward. Of course, they did had a challenging first half because of transition the year, but they are open to this, and we are really going to work hard because we believe it has given people like Kappa and other young people an opportunity to extend Kenya's legacy in the global sporting space in this new digital sport. Because if we have medals in the traditional Olympic Games, I believe medals and more medals. I want to promise Kenyans more medals now are coming on the digital space, courtesy of our top players that we have that will be representing us, and we'll work very hard to do that. Yes. Also, allow me to also invite Kenyans. Next weekend we have an African Championship of a game called PUBG. That is the PUBG Mobile African Championship, being hosted at the Charter Hall, Nairobi. It will include 16 of the top teams across the continent, competing for $8,000 prize pool, and competing also for the winner who will qualify to the global championship to be held in Thailand in November. And also, as Kappa said, this weekend we will also be in Kigali, Rwanda for the Sports Biz Africa Cup, and a Kenyan player, Kappa, will be representing us among 8 other players from Egypt, Nigeria, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda. And all Kenyans, I'd like you to tune in and to cheer Harry Kappa on YouTube there, as he'll be representing our country.
Ronny, ya mwisho, if you are to challenge Harry in one esports title today, which one would that be?
Because he's very good in the football games,
yes.
I will take him to a fighting game,
yes.
Because a fighting game, sometimes you can be carried if you game inaweza kubeba kidogo ukifinya tu mabaton. So I'd challenge him, yes. Or maybe I'll take him back, yes. Because I think he's only 20. So I'll pick an old game like WrestleMania. That one I think I can beat him because I started playing it in PlayStation 1.
Yes.
I think actually let's do wrestling. Wrestling nampiga.
Ari, which one can you challenge him? Unaweza mnyorosha vizuri.
Yeye amechagua ndo kifo yake.
All right, asanteni sana for coming here on Sport FM and just talking to us on matters esports. I hope now that Mimi personally have now learned so many things when it comes to esports, and we hope that Kenyans will keep on supporting. As you said, next weekend there is PUBG at Charter Hall, which involves 16 teams,
including so, Madagascar. We
must beat.
Hatujamalizana na wao. So please, if you get time on this weekend, is it Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday,
please, at Charter Hall. That's happening here in Nairobi. Thank you so much, Ari. Thank you so much, Ronny. I hope we will have a second half of this conversation, because talking sports never ends.
Yes, it doesn't end.
Remember, this is Sport FM 105.0 FM in Nairobi.
Breakpoint on Sport FM. Beyond Sport.